Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. We're doing another build. We're doing the dark magic build again. I know I've done this a couple times on the channel already, but obviously as things change, got to keep you all updated. So today is going to be the biggest change so far from the very original. We're on Chaos 35, as y'all can see down here at the bottom, and just like usual, we're standing here at the Droll Shrine. Which what I'm gonna do is just activate this bish and just kill some enemies for you guys, so we can get a little demonstration. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty of the details. So obviously you can see it works extremely well on small goobs, and that's with none of my abilities procced. It's literally just the base damage that we do to enemies. Then see, even on stuff like trolls, incredibly easy, incredibly good. Here we got a war troll. Again, we're not gonna pop any abilities. We'll just use regular damage. We'll use abilities on Droll when he shows up. He's here. Yeah, he's just about as weak as the regular enemies in comparison. So like usual, we're going to jump into doing some gear. Then after that, we are going to go do some boss fights, and I'll show you guys how the build performs on bosses, so you can really get a good idea for how this build is going to perform. Number one, we're going to start off with the Gluttony. This is going to be the main weapon of the whole build. In my opinion, it's the best dark magic weapon that there is, really, especially for the combo that we're using it with. Now, the Gluttony is a 584 by 2. This can roll as regular, like a not ×2 version, and the damage will be a little higher, but obviously won't be ×2. I have a volatile version. I would really recommend getting yourself a volatile version, because just, of course, the better damage is good. That's what we're here for. And also, a really important enchantment you're really going to want to get on all of your dark magic weapons for this build is, while action skills active, increase dark magic damage by 50%. I don't think I'll have to explain why that is as good as it is. Next up, we're going to have the auto magic. The auto magic is a good weapon for just in some instances where maybe it's a little too close quarters for the Gluttony to be effective, because of the splash damage that it will do to you as well. So take an auto magic, try to get yourself a chaotic or volatile version. I only got chaotic right now, but yeah, that's what we got. And the next weapon, probably the second most important of the weapons, you don't really have to get an auto magic, but if you can get Ruby Spite, especially a volatile version, with the action skill active, increase dark magic damage by 50% enchantment, this gun becomes really good. I'll show it off a little bit later, but what it does is targets take 3% increased damage, or this one has melee damage for each crossbow stuck on the target. Let me rephrase. This one isn't the exact one you want. So the one you want is going to say targets take 3% increased damage, just in general damage, for each crossbow stuck in a target. I think I might have another one. Yeah, this one here. This one in my inventory. It's not volatile, but it has that 3% increased damage for each crossbow stuck on the target. You're going to want to get the highest chaotic, volatile, primordial version you can with this weapon's ability. And for the 4th slot, I'm going to recommend anything really that's not a pistol, because the main weakness of the build is that most of the best weapons we're going to be using are going to be pistols, so you're going to need something to just fire in the event that we run out of pistol ammo. I am using the Rogue Amp, and I've got the fire version, and then I have the action skill active increase fire damage by 50%. It's decent. I'm on the hunt for a dark magic damage weapon for a good 4th slot, but this is what I'm using for right now in the meantime. Like most of the builds, I'm using a Goblin Pickaxe because it is just too good for getting our action skill back. I have the one that melee attacks restore 5% of your action skill cooldown, which is incredibly good. Again, I'll show that off later whenever we're doing boss fights, that way you guys can see just how efficient that really is. And then I have the enchantment on action skill start, increase status effect chance by 20%. Status effect chance and damage by 20% for 10 seconds. So obviously, a lot of the gun's main enchantments are off of action skill start, so it's really good. Just another little layer on top of that when we have our action skill going. Now, next up, this is different from the last build. I actually have a volatile version of the usual soldier amulet that we use. So this one has gun damage plus 40.6%. I'm going to recommend getting one of these for really whatever build you're going to want to use. Try to get a volatile version, of course, because the volatile version, the regular version, non-volatile or chaotic or anything, is about 30%. And then obviously volatile one has 40.6%. This one also increases fire rate by 13.6%, which isn't as good of a roll, I think, as the in general 11% just damage I had on the last one, but 13.6% fire rate is increasing DPS, so There you go. As always, we are using the Dark Magic Buffmeister. Make sure to get a Dark Magic Buffmeister. I don't think I need to explain that one either. And make sure to get an enchantment on it. I got, again, another just damage buff on action skill start. It's going to be super good. For our shield, we're using the Jacketed Trick Mirror. This one has on spellcast, increased gun damage by 30% for 10 seconds. So again, since we're popping our action skill and spells together all the time, all of these enchantments are going to proc, and we're going to get like our big mega damage boost all at the same time. Plus the Trick Mirror has a decent capacity while also reflecting 75% of bullets and arrows. A main staple of the build, as always, is going to be this Deathless Mantle with the +4 to Eagle Eye, which just in general is a huge damage increase. We'll go over that more whenever I get to the skills after this. So what the Deathless Mantle does is it takes all of your health except one and gives 150% of that health that it took added to your ward, and it takes your ward regeneration delay and reduces it by 50%. So our regeneration delay of 4.1 is actually only 2.05, which is super good. And as you guys can see here, I have over 19,000 shield capacity when all of my bonuses and skills are taken into effect. So it's pretty decent. I know it looks bad with just one health, but 19,000 shield in general is going to be a lot more than most builds, health and shield combined. I mean, almost all of them. Next up with the rings. Now, I always have said that the rings are the least important pieces of the build, but I'll be taking that one back for this build because the new DLC came out and this ring has emerged, the Sharksbane. Ooh-ha-ha. This ring has 30% gun damage rolled on it, and on critical hit, the ring's effectiveness is increased by 25% for a short duration. So what that's going to do is add, like, what's that, 7.5% more whenever we get critical hits, which is pretty much going to be all the time. So it's really 37.5% increase. And it just, in general, deals 50% increased damage to land shark enemies. So whenever you're fighting land sharks, you deal even another 50% on top of that. An incredibly good ring. Pretty much a must-have, I'm going to say, for any build, at least for any of my builds for right now. And then next up, I just got a ring that rolled with more gun damage and tried to get a roll on it that was going to be relevant to the build. This one ended up rolling with 10% pistol reload speed, and since our three mainest weapons are pistols, I thought that would be really good. Plus, that effect gets doubled whenever we're fighting bosses, so it's a little help with the boss fights. Is the skills, we're going Graveborn and Spore Warden. I probably mentioned that in the title, but we're going with Blizzard. I'm not going to break down the skills as in-depth and everything as I usually do. We're just going to go over the ones we took. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments down below what they are, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So, of course, because of our class mod, we're taking Eagle Eye, and with the +4 in it from our class mod, that puts us at 9 out of 5, giving us 36% increased gun damage right off the top. After that, 5 points, we're going to come down to Bullseye, which is another one we have from our class mod, which increases our gun critical hit chance, which is going to be super good when it comes to the Sharksbane ring proccing, with getting the critical hits. Then after we take 5 points into that, we're going to put 3 points into Windrunner, which is a kill skill that increases our movement speed and fire rate. Movement speed is just overall efficient, and fire rate is going to increase our DPS. I would definitely say, for sure, make sure to get the Mushroom, because for just 1 point, the ability to be revived by your Mushroom comes in clutch way too often to not take that for 1 point. And we're going to max out our points into Quiver of Holding, so that way we can get some higher magazine size, which will help with our Gluttony, because it is a fair arrow weapon, so the damage that its thrown reload ability does is based off of the ammo left in the magazine. So we can get the magazine higher, that's going to do more damage, as well as add us a little bit of ammo regen. Then after you do that, this tree will have been unlocked, and you can put 3 points into Called Shot, which increases our damage dealt while we're aiming down the sights. So it's what you max of 10 stacks. You get 1 stack per second of aiming on the sights, and each stack gives 5.3% gun damage and 5.1% damage resistance. So if you stand there and hold your sights for 10 seconds, your gun's going to do 50% more damage, and you're going to get 50% more damage resistance, on average. And then again, we'll have this tree unlocked. We're going to throw 1 point into Headhunter, which is just more damage dealt to critical hit areas for 1 point. I felt like that was pretty good. And then with the 2 points, we're going to throw those into Wrath of Nature, so that way we deal extra damage whenever something takes ability damage from us, which is going to be pretty often since we're using Blizzard a lot, and our pickaxe is helping with the cooldown of Blizzard. So it's kind of like Slag. It's like Flag from the other Borderlands games, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Over in the Graveborn tree, I'm going to say the first thing that you're going to want to take is 3 points of Fateful Thralls. as the companions really come in clutch and increase your damage by quite a bit. You get 9% per companion, and since we're also taking Dark Hydra, we're going to have 3 of these out at almost all times, which even just with that itself, with the 3 Hydras, would be a 27% increase. But since we also have the Demi-Lich Companion and the Mushroom Companion at all times, that's going to bring us up to, what's that, 45% damage, again, right off the top before even any other things get added, like any other summonables. Then we'll need more points to get down to the rest of the trees, so I took 5 points into Essence Drain, which is a kill skill that increases your spell cooldown rate to help us with the Buffmeister, and 4 points into Mortal Vessel, which increases our maximum health and Dark Magic efficiency. The Dark Magic efficiency doesn't really matter as we're stuck at 1 health anyway, but the maximum health increase is pretty helpful, seeing as, let me back out. See, we have just the 1 point by the high shields. And if you read the Deathless Mantle, what it does is it takes, like I said, 150% of your health and returns it to your ward. So all of that percentage that it's adding to your health actually gets added to your ward at 150% of the return of that. So that's kind of how one of the things that help us get our health up so high. In the next tree, none of the skills really apply, except for Dark Pact, which increases dark magic damage by 20%, which, again, is almost all we're using here. So another 20% right off the top. I already explained Dark Hydra. You're going to throw 3 points into that. And once you've got the 3 points into that, we'll have skipped this tree since nothing is super relevant. And another really important skill is Lord of Edges. So we gain increased damage dealt and damage reduction the lower the Fate Maker's health. And since our health is always at 1, we always get the absolute maximum buff that we can from Lord of Edges for just 1 point. Another 25% damage dealt and 25% reduction right off the top. For our hero points, I leveled up Wisdom a lot to help with status damage, and Constitution a lot to help with our max HP/ward, and by that I mean mostly our ward. Then I threw some points into spell cooldown to help with that. Feel free to adjust these as you like. I don't think these are super important. I think the status damage one is super important, and then depending on just how comfortable you are with your health, go Constitution or work on your cooldowns. So that one's mostly up to you. Next up, we have the Myth rank. My Myth rank's 169, so we don't have all the skills totally maxed out. But for this build, I'm going to suggest in the Blade Master tree, picking up Dark Magic damage, and then maybe scaling into just Strength after that, or Constitution to help with the health. Then over in the Deadeye tree, really important one is going to be magazine size. I explained the magazine size thing earlier with the Ferior weapons getting more damage the higher the magazine. So we're going to put all our points into the magazine size. That'll increase it by another 30%. And then try to get over here and unlock gun damage because, of course, it's going to be super good. Get all the points into gun damage that you can. Then up here in the Druid tree, it's really your preference depending on what other stuff you want to use. I really like having the extra loot look bonus. I feel like that helps a lot with getting gear and working on other builds. So I just started pumping points into loot luck, and once that was done, threw the rest into ability damage. Then in the Archmage tree, I think probably the most important one first is going to be status effect chance. Then after that, you're probably going to want to head over and just level up your intelligence to help with cooldowns. Let's head over to Godswell, see what we can do to drill. I'll show you guys just how quickly you can burn him down. You know, it's not explosive. We're not like one-shotting the bosses, but it's incredibly steady and still really fast in comparison to, I mean, obviously it's Chaos 35, so it was still a really good run. This is just our damage without any of our buffs running. And then, like I said, whenever you need your ability to come back, just find an enemy, give him a couple, oh, well, give him a couple melees. Okay. Also, just a little extra tip for fighting drill. This purple stuff, and the purple stuff in a couple of the other boss fights, I think there's a little bit in, the Dragon Lord's fight, to where there's this purple gunk, and what that does is it damages you through your shield, meaning it does direct damage to your health, which obviously instantly kills you since you only have one. So you have to be really careful. It's not like super prevalent around. Once you're wary of it as well, it's really pretty easy to avoid, not like a big obstacle to worry about. Just something to consider, like if you're fighting a boss or something and you wonder why you keep going down in like one little hit when nothing's even around, you know, that might be the issue. Also, here's some gameplay for you guys of the Ruby Spite. The Ruby Spite is more of a gun for mobbing, as its big damage really shows up after you get a kill, which isn't super good whenever you're fighting big bosses, like, you know, you're not getting reoccurring back-to-back kills, but it's really good gun for mobbing. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and hope you enjoyed the build. So drop a like for me if you did, and make sure to subscribe for more builds in the future. I got other classes I'm working on, other class combos, stuff like that. So just in general, make sure to stick around so you guys can see all stuff coming up in the future. Again, one last thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.